833-804-1140. And again, I chastise you. Call sooner. Don't wait. I know you have something to say. Get on sooner, because here's where I feel bad. People start calling, but they don't call towards the end of the show. And then we can't get you on like, I called. You got to get on in time. Dave's got to talk to you. Got to see what you want to talk about. Get you ready to come on the air. So again, start dialing now, 833-804-1140. Again, more speech is better than less speech. More free speech is better than less free speech. More speech is better than bad speech. So here's what I want to ask this morning. The governor's poll numbers. I'm looking at these and I'm wondering, how did she go from winning by 15 points? 15 points last November. December, January, February. How did she go from just less than, a year ago? Less than 7 months ago? She was the hottest thing. I'm going to steal Donald Trump's line. She was the hottest thing going. She was going to be the next face of the Democratic Party. What happened? Because she went from trouncing the GOP, and she went from leading a landslide where Republicans were sitting there like, what happened? We just got crushed. She led this wave in that brought us not only Abigail Spanberger to the governor's mansion, Ghazal Hashmi became our lieutenant governor. Jay Jones, despite all the controversy of the text messages, he became our attorney general, and a landslide in the House of Delegates. She has everything going for her. Man, you couldn't think of a better party than at the Abigail Spanberger headquarters after the election. You want to talk about somebody who was living on top of the world during the holiday season? I can't imagine what life was like around the Spanberger household on New Year's Eve. She had every bit of momentum, and they're already whispering in the background. You know, she could be ready for prime time. You know what? I think she might be one that we could look at for 2028. I bet you there's somebody that already bought Spanberger 2028 websites. I should look to see, and if not, I'll buy it and sell it to her if she wants it. That's what people do. They squat on those websites. I wouldn't do that, but somebody else probably already has. She was on Stephen Colbert. They asked her to be the Democratic response. Remember, she did it over in Williamsburg, and she's just sitting on top of it. Everybody and their brothers talking about her. She's got all the momentum. She cannot be stopped. She is a force of nature. She is the end-all and be-all. She's the one. And as they're starting to talk about who's going to run next, a lot of people around the country are like, keep an eye on that one. She's a winner right there. Now, here we are, post July 4th, and this poll comes out that finds that she's not only lost every bit of momentum that she had, I mean, every bit of momentum she had after that election is now gone. It is gone. And she has taken a political beating over the gerrymandering, which, do you remember she said, I'm going to stay out of this one, let the voters speak. Before, she was against gerrymandering. Then she jumped in and gave her full-throated support. People were like, well, wait a minute. It wasn't that long ago you were against it, and then you were just going to stay on the sidelines, and then now you're doing ads saying, let's do it. She lost credibility, momentum, whatever you want to call it then. And then you see what happened with the budget, and we've talked about all this stuff on the program. You've heard it all from me. So what do you think is caused people around this Commonwealth to open up their eyes, to say, this is not good. We're going in the wrong direction. And that's the most important thing for me. But see, there are people that you like politically just because you like them. I mean, there's that old thing about, well, how do I decide who to vote for? Who would I want to go have a beer with? Do I want to go have a beer with Salty Super Dave, or go with Rich because he's a lot of fun? Some people go, I want to go Salty Dave because Rich will talk too much. Others will go, I want to go to Rich. He's going to entertain me. And that's how a lot of people will vote. Do I like that person or not? There's been politicians that were brilliant, but they had absolutely no charisma and nobody ever voted for them. And then there's politicians that are the biggest dopes you'll ever meet, and people love them. She was one that showed up. She had a record in Congress. She had served our country as a postal inspector and then in the Central Intelligence Agency. And she wore that on her sleeve, and it was a big part of her campaign. And then she said, I'm the one in Congress. I was voted the most bipartisan, the one most willing to work across the aisle. She ran one way, and then she gets in office. And like I said, I kind of showed you that she says one thing and then finds a way to do another. So she gets accomplished what she wants, but she's still able to, have plausible deniability. But right now, you could see out of this poll, and this is just the first, we'll get more that'll come out. But her momentum is gone. Her honeymoon is over. So my big question to you this morning on WRVA, and again, hit the phones right now, 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. Was it something she did? Was it something that she promised? Or is it something that she didn't do that has taken all the momentum out of her sales? Is it something that she did, something she said, or something she didn't do? Why do you think someone who had a 15-point advantage in the general election, or was it, hey, listen, we all hate Donald Trump in Northern Virginia. We're all going to show up to vote, and we're mad because there's so many different people that are losing their jobs in Northern Virginia. We're going to make them pay by electing Abigail Spanberger. Now, the political scientists told us this the entire time. Off your election, Virginia, whoever's in the White House, the other party will win, and they'll win big. And it turned out to be true. Didn't help that Donald Trump was having the Doge boys go up there and find waste, fraud, and abuse, and they were getting rid of the bloat that we had in Washington, D.C., which definitely affected Northern Virginia, and they came out in droves. But what was it? Or, try this one on for size, the people kind of finally figured out and seen through that she says one thing, does another, and means something else. 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. Let's see. Good morning, Rich. You and the governor are ignoring the elephant in the room. With annual elections, people are fatigued with voting. More people had deer tags than voted in the last general election. Not only had the state GOP done little to support the state slate of candidates, they did little to get out the votes. They need to educate the base that voting is important and voting every time. They need to explain that unless people start voting absentee, nothing will change, says Dan in Midlothian. Dan, you're brilliant. No, I 100% agree. Listen, there is voter fatigue. I mean, you saw it. How tired were you of every TV commercial, every time you went on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube? All you got hit over the head was with political ads. There is a point where they become so omnipresent that they really become ineffective more than anything else. They just annoy you. So I agree with you. There is fatigue. And I really agree with you that the Republican Party here has got to figure out, if you're going to live in a world, it's not like it just happened overnight, where we're going to have an election every year. You have to keep momentum going. And I've worked on get out the votes before when I was in college, and I was in college Republicans. It takes you a while to build up that volunteer list and get those people. And, you got to get enough people in there that you get critical mass that you can actually make a difference and get out the vote. But it takes you a while to build that up. You're in Virginia. Unlike other places, you need it each and every year. Other places, okay, I'll get my volunteers all ready to go every 4 years. Here, you got to have it every year, and I think that's where the Virginia GOP really needs to tighten its belt up, is to make sure that you can have it get out the vote and motivate people that they have to show up every time. I also think that Virginia voters, particularly conservative voters, need to be as involved as the progressives are. And again, I see this. I go down to City Hall, I go to Capitol Square, I see all the progressives that show up for everything. And I see the Republicans don't. And I think that's one of the big things is the motivation. Who's more motivated? Who's more motivated at this point to get their person into office? And I know as a Republican that I live my life. I've got a family to raise. I've got a job. I've got a career. I've got bills I got to pay. I've got children I raise. I've got little league teams that I coach, and I've got to run my kids here, run my kids there. A lot of families are busy, and then they wonder, like, what in the world's going on? Meanwhile, on the other side, you have got DSA members that are meeting all the time, motivating, putting things out on social media, working digitally, building websites, volunteering. They're motivated 24/7. They're motivated because they're trying to change the country into their utopian version of what the world should be. You're living your life because you like the way the world is right now. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. The DSA has said, we want to get rid of the president, the Supreme Court, and the Senate, the Department of War, jails, and there's a whole other world that they would like to see that you would never recognize in the United States of America. They're motivated to turn the United States into something like that. Are you motivated to defend our way of life? Are you motivated to protect the freedoms? I was thinking about this yesterday, driving home, the separation of church and state, the checks and balances we have. All of these things are kind of enshrined, and you and I think of this all the time. They want to blow a lot of this up. Let's just take the checks and balances. The president cannot become too powerful because Congress controls his purse strings, and the Supreme Court will tell him whether he's doing things legally and following the Constitution. So they both have a check on him. The president has a check on Congress because he's the chief executive, and whether the bills they pass are legal or not has to go by and stand the scrutiny of the Supreme Court. So they have a check on Congress to make sure there's no unfettered powers. And the president has a check on the Supreme Court because he gets to appoint members to the Supreme Court, and then Congress gets to decide, advise and consent whether they can sit on the bench. So all three of them have a check on each other to make sure one doesn't get too powerful. If I went DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, all of that would be gone. And their idea of this is they want to have a Congress that would decide who becomes the leader, the president. They would get rid of the Supreme Court and put a judiciary chosen exclusively by their Congress. The Senate, they're out. Department of War out. Their entire way of thinking, their entire vision of the world would be completely a bizarro world from what you and I live in right now. It is crazy. Somebody said people have figured out she lied through her teeth to get elected. Northern Virginia would have voted for Satan himself. There's some pretty good text messages we're going to get to this morning. All right. I need to, can I take a couple seconds here, Super Dave? I'll take a couple minutes here to remind everybody about this golf tournament that we're going to have. I've been working on this in the background for a little bit. I went out to the golf course the other day and met with the folks at Hunting Hawk Golf Club in Ashland. This is all being brought to you by Greer Financial Group and Better Floors. So we're teaming up with our sister station 910 The Fan for the inaugural Swing for Heroes golf tournament, and we're going to benefit Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Now, a lot of you know what T to T is. They have raised so much money. They have raised so much money over the years. And I know this personally because a friend of mine lost his son in a training accident as a Marine Corps pilot. They're right there on the spot, paid off their mortgage, took care of the widow. They're pretty amazing people. So when people lose a loved one in the line of duty and that family is absolutely devastated, they walk right in. They make sure that they pick that family up. They're really amazing. For firefighters, police, first responders, and our military, they're right there. In fact, I know this, and if you see the commercial, the wife says, we didn't even call. We just heard from a friend that, Tunnel Tower just said they're going to pay off your mortgage. They build homes for people that have lost a limb and need help. And now they're sending kids to school. They're an amazing organization. We're teaming up with them on September 22nd. So I'm looking for people to play in the golf tournament. Go to WRVA.com. If you want to play in the golf tournament, again, it's brought to you by Better Floors and Greer Financial Group. But I'm also looking, I need 18 hole sponsors. So if you want to, as a business or as an individual, want to put a sign up on a tee box, I'd appreciate that as well. And we'll give you more details. But go to WRVA.com/golf, WRVA.com
30 seconds
/golf to find out more information. Sign up. And again, if you can do it, I'd love to have you sponsor one of the tee boxes with sign out there supporting Tunnel to Towers and our Swing for Heroes golf tournament. But I need golfers as well. So sign up, WRVA.com/golf. All right, that's going to do it for the program for today. Thank everybody for joining us. Our program today is brought to you by our very, very good friends in Mechanicsville. The National Anthem brought to you by Freedom Services Training, the biggest gun store in town. I'll talk to you tomorrow right back here on WRVA.
Please stand for the National Anthem of the United States of America.
You see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stars shine bright.